Welcome back, students, at the second part of the chapter Footprint Without Feet. So here, in this part, we are going to cover the second portion of this chapter. So here, before starting the reading, let's read the question answer. Read and find out the question. Why does Mrs. Hall find the scientist eccentric? What curious episode occurs in the study? What other extraordinary things happen at the inn? Now here, the scientist Griffin needs to leave the city London because his offenses had been emerging day by day, and the police is suspecting him and searching him each and every places because he is spreading his disadvantage of his work. So that's why he had to leave the city. So before leaving the city, he had done one crime, so you know very well. And now read the second. Eager to get away from the crowded London, he took a train to the village of Impaling. Now here, my dear students, now he had left the place London and reached to a new place, that is Imping, a small village or a small kind of town where he has gone by train, where he booked two rooms at the local inn. So he got two rooms there in the inn. What is inn? Inn is a kind of a small hotel. So he started living in a inn. The arrival of stranger at inn in winter was in any case an unusual event. So here, the Imping is a kind of a area, a hilly area or a tourist place for the visitors. They generally come to in the summertime. So coming a tourist in the winter season, it's little bit awkward or little bit strange for the owner of this hotel, of this inn. A stranger of such uncommon appearance, see at all tongues wagging. Now here, especially a person whose appearance is totally weird, totally distorted, totally we could say weird, that only his tongue could be seen, only he is just talking, otherwise his whole body is covered by his own clothes, as well as his hands, which could be visible, were covered by the taps, or you can say that there were many things he had wear on his hands, and his also face is covered, and he has used a fake nose, on the eyes there is spectacles. So everything he has changed. He has made his look he has changed his look that everybody can see him, because now if he wanted to present as natural person, he couldn't, because he had swallowed a number of drugs. So he could not recover his body, as he has become, once he has become the transparent as the glass of sheet, as the glass solid as a glass of sheet. Now he could not retain himself, and he could not reach at the normal condition. Now he had, once he had got disappear, now he has to be live with such type of personality a long period of time until he got die, or until he could not, or somebody else could not find another drugs to recover at this normal conditions. So now that's the reason Mrs. Hall, the owner, the landlord's wife, the owner of the this hotel, whose wife name is Mrs. Hall, made every efforts to be friendly, and she made many efforts to get little bit friendly with him. But this stranger is so kind of a person who's so rude and not trying to mingle with somebody easily. But Griffin had no desire to talk, and told her, my reason for coming to Imping is a desire for solitude. Solitude means living at a lonely place. Now here he told to Mrs. Hall that my reason to be here, just because of I just wanted to be lonely. I just wanted to be spend a quite peaceful time, as my schedule was so hectic, so busy. But now I want peace, I want loneliness, I don't want to disturb by anybody. So that is the reason, that's why I came here in this place. Beside, an accident has affected my face. Now here he has told to Mrs. Hall that there is also one reason that my face has totally ruined just because of I met through with an accident, and that's the condition I have reached here. Satisfied that her guest was an eccentric scientist, she was a little bit awkward. She was feeling so little bit awkward feeling because the scientist who was eccentric, my dear students, little bit strange, weird, or a type of a confused type of person, a totally crazy type of scientist she is going to meet. And in view of the fact that he had paid her in advance and she didn't get any kind of cross questions, he didn't allow him because he had paid all the bills, all the fare, all in advance, that the money for as a charge of living in a two room he had given to her in advance. Mrs. Hall was prepared to excuse his strange habits and irritated temper, and Mrs. Hall, she is trying to get rid of, or she is trying to not pay attention to the weird habits of this man and irritated temper. She is just trying to ignore his appearance, his nature, everything, his habit, as well as she is trying to ignore because now this man had paid her in advance, and the customers is a only source for her to run his her and his livelihood. And they have also a mini restaurant downside their hotel. But the stolen money didn't not last long. And now, but whatever the money the Griffin had stolen from one of the makeup department which he had got, then that money was not remained with him for a long period of time because he had spent all the money as a rent or as his own expenses. So the stolen money didn't run long. And presently, Griffin had to admit that he had no more ready cash. He pretended, however, that he was expecting a check to arrive at any moment. Now, when his advance was finished, when the charges which he had paid for the room, which they were finished, now he had to pay the extra charges to live more. So he told that that he started making some excuses. He was making excuses that my one of check is about to be here very soon, so just let me have some permission to stay more time. Shortly afterwards, a curious episode occurred, and meanwhile such type of things were going on, that he was not able to pay his rent. That time one incident got occurred. Something strange happened in this Imping village. Very early in the morning of a clergyman, a new character, the third character. First character is Griffin himself, second character Mrs. Hall, and third character in this chapter is clergyman. Clergyman, who is clergy? Clergy is a kind of a priest who works in the church, and his wife were awakened by a noise in the study. Study means in the study room. What happened? There is a house in the neighboring of this hotel in this village Imping of a clergyman. And what happened? They were sleeping, and it was an incident of early morning that they were awakened. They were wake up in their sleep just because of they heard something in the study room. They got some noise which were coming through the study room. Creeping downstairs. Creeping means without making noise. They were stepping downwards in their study room from the stairs. They heard the chink of money. Money means here money word is used for the coins. They heard the chink of the coins being taken from the clergyman's desk, and they heard that somebody is taking the chiller, the coins from the study desk, and that's why they just were very very desperate to reach downside. Shortly afterward, without making any noise and with a poker grasp, poker means a stick, firmly in his hand. Firmly means tightly the clergyman hold the stick in his hand, and the clergyman flung open the door, and suddenly he opened the door. Surrender who is inside this my study room. Surrender means just surrender yourself, give yourself to me as you are caught bare hands. Then, to his amazement, he realized that the room appeared to be empty. And when he opened the door, he found that this room is totally empty. He and his wife looked under the desk, behind the curtains. Curtains means you could see such type of curtains were there. That he and his wife, they both found that who is the suspected person. They found each and every place in the room, that under the desk, behind the curtains, even up the chimney, and even also inside the chimney where the smoke goes upwards. So they found each and every place. There was not a sign of anybody, and in the room there was nothing, no a sign of a person who got inside it. Yet the desk had been opened and the housekeeping money was missing. And what they found, that the desk of the study room, and then there was a table, and this desk cupboard was open and the money was stolen, and the money which they kept for the housekeeping, like as we people do, we have servants, we have different people who come to work inside, like gardener comes here, many people come here to give a part as a employment. They got this kind of employment and they work the rich people house. So they kept such type of money for the housekeeping, that who came here for the cleaning, for clothing, and for this person they kept this money inside the desk, but the money was missing. Extraordinary affair, very strange things. The clergyman kept saying for the rest of the day, extraordinary affair, extraordinary affair. The clergyman was cryingly, he was screaming in each and every corner of the village, that he, whenever somebody meets to him, he is just saying that my money was happened, a very extraordinary affair got, because the room has only one gate, and which was locked from the outside, and there was a small window, and somebody got inside. And when we opened that, we literally could hear, before opening the door, we could literally hear the sound of coin that somebody is dragging out. But once we opened that, there was nothing inside it. Nobody was, no sign was there. We found each and every place. So it was an extraordinary affair. You keep this thing in your mind. What do you mean by, what do you understand by extraordinary affair? You got the students. But it was not as extraordinary as the behavior of Mrs. Hall's furniture a little later that morning. And in the same day, in the same morning, a little bit later, that something very strange happened with the furniture of Mrs. Hall in his hotel. That something got a movement she found in her furniture. The landlord and his wife were up very early and were surprised to see the scientist door wide open. The wife and the owner of this hotel, they went upside and to have an inspection each and every room. So they found that the strange scientist, the eccentric scientist, a door was wide open. Usually it was shut and locked. Most of the time he always closed his door, locked his door, and he was furious if anyone entered his room. And he got so furious, my dears, that you know that Fast and Furious, the Furious is so angry, so raised, and he, whenever anybody is coming inside his room, he got so furious that why did you come inside my room without my permission. The opportunity seemed too good to be missed, and now here, this opportunity, they wanted to grab this opportunity to peek to peep inside the room, that what type of extraordinary, what type of things he generally use, and what type of person he, how he lives inside the room. So they wanted to see, and they don't want to miss this opportunity. They peeped around the door, they looked inside the door, saw nobody, and decided to investigate means search, discover each and everything. They found that there is nobody, so they were looking inside each and everything, what's things he is using inside it, and what type of person, what type of if as the griffin was under the doubt, and that everybody is keeping eyes, very spy eyes on him. So that's why they were so curious to know what type of person he is. So they start finding each and every suspect, every stuff which he used generally. The bed clothes were cold. Bed clothes means the mattress, the blanket was the quilt was very cold, showing that the scientist must have been up for some time and strange still. The clothes and the bandages were always wore were lying about the room. And now what the thing they got, that it was very strange, that his clothes and his bandages which he covered his face, as he was not as nobody could see his face. So what he did, he just covered his face by the bandage and the fake nose and the spectacles, so nobody could imagine that he is a without head. So generally he didn't take away his bandages and clothes, but now this time everything was on lying on the bed. Why? Because he had gone to the doing something strange. Sorry for the disturbance. Now, all of a sudden, Mrs. Hall heard a sniff close to her ear. Like at the same time, when they were discovering, at the same time, she felt something, that somebody took a breath near her ear. A moment later, the hat on the bedpost leapt up and dashed itself into her face, and there was a hat of Mr. Griffin which leapt up. Leapt up means lifted, went upside in the air and straight went to the Mrs. Hall face. It was a strike, or it was a attack which is made by the Griffin through his hat. Then the bedroom chair become alive, and there was also a chair which is placed inside the room, inside the bedroom, and that chair got some life inside it. It started moving, spreading into the air. It charged straight at her. And now what happened? The chair, which was a non-living thing, which was a kind of a stable thing, it suddenly got some life, suddenly got energy, and it start jumping inside it and moving in, rotating in the room. And after a while, it straight went on the face of the Mrs. Hall, leg foremost. As she and her husband turned away in the terror, the extraordinary chair pushed them both out of the room and then appeared to slam and lock the door after them. And now, what the chair was doing, the chair was pushing them outside the room, as they were so scared that there is something terror, there is some haunting thing is going on. So they left the room, and once they left the room, the door was shut, banged with a voice, and the door was locked. Mrs. Hall almost fell down the stairs in the hysterics and in the agitated way, as she was not controlled in her balance of her body, that she was almost falling downwards. She was confused. She was convinced. She was satisfied. She was agreed. Convinced means that the room was haunted by spirits. Spirits means ghost, and the haunted means that there was something, some paranormal activity, some extraordinary activities going on inside the room, and the stranger had somehow caused these to enter into her furniture. And whose cause is this? Who is the responsible person to be known as that? Due to this person, this all things were happening just because of this strange scientist Griffin. He is having his hand doing all these activity, some these all haunting activities. My poor mother used to sit in that chair. She moaned. She spoke with a crying, with a tears in her eyes. She was saying that this chair belonged to my mother. To think it should rise up against me now, and now, as this chair was, how this chair could rise against me, because this chair belonged to my mother. and that definitely she was so determined that there is something hand, there is something, a matter of griffin in this matter. The the feeling among the neighbors was the trouble was caused by the witchcraft. The feeling among the neighbors was that the trouble was caused by witchcraft, and this become a matter of problem, a matter of trouble, that everybody is saying that this is all about the witchcraft who is living in your house, in your hotel. Witchcraft means here the ghost or such type of things. But witchcraft or not, what when news of the burglary means stealing at the clergyman's home become known, the strange scientist was strongly suspected of having had a hand in it. Suspicion grew even stronger when he suddenly produced some ready cash, though he had admitted not long before that he had no money. And now, some extraordinary affairs also happened in that morning time, early morning, and this news spread everywhere. And Mrs. Hall was so determined. She found that definitely there is something hand of this scientist, because as he was not as he was cashless, he was no having no money. But suddenly, after hearing the stealing money, there is a robbery, there is a burglary recently happened, and now on the second hand, that Griffin was hand over some ready cash to her, that as the deposit for the charge of the hotel. The village constable was secretly sent for. Instead of waiting for the constable, Mrs. Hall went to the scientist, who had somehow mysteriously appeared from his empty bedroom. And as this matter goes beyond the imagination, so Mrs. Hall secretly called the constable near the police, near hereby. And what happened, she couldn't resist herself to wait for the constable, and then after the inspection run smoothly, but she didn't wait for him, and she just directly reached in the room of scientist and started asking. But nobody knows that the strange scientist had appeared from this room, as the room was locked from outside, and the person came from the empty bedroom. I want to know what you have been doing to my chair upstairs. And the lady asked to the scientist, to the griffin, that what were you doing with my chair at upstairs? She demanded. And I want to know how it is you came out of an empty room and how you entered a locked room. And I am so curious to know that how you enter in a locked room, or how you entered outside from a room which is locked from outside. So just tell me that all these three things, that what are you doing with my chairs, and how your process to come and go out or inside of the room. Just explain these things. Now you could see that this is the face which he covered by the bandages. His hand is having a gloves, and now here is almost bandages are worn out, and there is a person who is the constable, and this is the Mrs. Hall here downwards. This is the Mrs. Hall, and this is the Mr. Hall, and these are the people who are inside the restaurant, which is downstairs in this inn. The scientist was always quick tempered. Quick tempered means eager by the nature. So angry, a very rude type of person suddenly got burst out in an anger. Now he become furious. You don't understand who or what I am, he shouted. Very well, I'll show you. I know that you couldn't understand me, because who am I, or who what do I want? So she heard all these things from the scientist. Very well, I'll show you. And he started showing his all the reality to her. Suddenly he threw off the bandages. Whiskers means the mustache, spectacles, and even the fake nose. It took him only a minute to do this. The horrified people in the bar found themselves staring at a headless man. And now, once he got so angry, once he got out of his temperament, and he threw his all the bandages, his whiskers, spectacles, fake nose, everything he just through downside. And the people who were gathered in the downside in the bar and were so shocked that they were staring, they were looking, they were gapping a person who is beheaded, a person who is without head. Mr. Jeffers, the constable, the name of the constable was Mr. Jeffer, now arrived and was quite surprised to find that he had to arrest a man without a head. And when the constable arrived, he came to know that he had to arrest a person who is without the head. But Jaffer was not easily prevented from doing his duty, and nobody can prevent him, nobody can stop him while doing his job. If a magistrate's warrant order a person arrest, then the person had to be arrested with or without his head. And if a magistrate give some order or some summon to present a person in front of him in the court, whether he is a headless person or without a head or with the head, there is no matter. The person has to be present in front of the court, in front of the jury of the judges or magistrates. Magistrate means the judge. Magistrate, my dear students, always sit in a tehsil. There is a person, and judge sit in the district court, supreme court, and such type of court. There followed a remarkable scene as the policeman tried to get hold a man who was becoming more and more invisible as he threw off one garment after another. And the constable was so shocked, and it was a very panic situation for him because he was holding a person who was slowly and gradually going to be disappeared as he was throwing out his all clothes. He was getting faded. Finally, a shirt flew into the air, and the constable found himself struggling with someone he could not see at all. Now, when the only shirt remained on his body, when he removed it and threw it, and now the constable was thinking about that he was doing a struggle with such type of person which is not visible, which is not appear in front of him. People tried to help him but found themselves hit by blows that seemed to come from nowhere. And as the people who were gathered over there, they also trying to help to the constable to hold or to catch this person, to catch the stranger scientist. But they were also stricken. They were also got attacked by nowhere. The punch, the slap, which were invisible, which were they not able to know or understand that where and who is hitting them on their face, on their neck. In the end, Jafar was knocked unconscious as he made a last attempt to hold on the unseen scientist, and the Jafar was got a brutal punch, and he got smashed. He got unconscious. Unconscious means not in the condition to get wake up. He was just sleep, as he was badly hit by the a punch which is given by strange scientist, unseen scientist. There were there were nervous, excited cries of hold him, hold him, and people were so nervous. People were just screaming that hold this man, hold this man. But this was easier said than done. And the people who were saying, I can tell them that saying hold them is very easy to say, but in reality, to catch him, it's so difficult. It's too totally against to it. Griffin had shaken himself but free, and no one knew where to lay hands on him. And now, here, as he just last punch on the face of the constable, and he just moved his hand and ran away. And the people who were gathered over there, they were just trying to hold him by nowhere, because they could not find the hand, the body parts of his person. So this is the all about the chapter. And now moving to the question answer. Why does Mrs. Hall find the scientist eccentric? Scientist eccentric. Eccentric means strange. Why does Mrs. Hall find that? When Griffin left the London city and reached in the Impink village, it was so eccentric. It was so strange for the landowner wife, Mrs. Hall, because this was the time of winter and people generally ignore to visit a such type of hill stations or such type of tourist destination. And first, that doubt was running in the mind, and second was that his face was totally covered by the bandages, and it was a very matter or a situation of putting doubt on him. And the third was that he told the third was that she is trying to mingle with him, she is trying to friendly with him, but he is a kind of person who just get so high temperament whenever somebody is trying to speak with him. So this is the question of first. What curious episode occurs in the study desk? You got it. Yeah, the clergyman house. When clergyman and his wife awakened in the early morning by the chant by the noise of coins, that somebody is trying to drag them out, and they found, when they opened, that there was nobody inside it, and the money was stolen, money was taken away by the desk of study table. And that's why he is saying that some extraordinary matter happened to him. What other extraordinary things happened at the inn? You could say, my dear students, the matter of the hat which were waving, which we just lift up from the bed and just attack on the face of Mrs. Hall. And also the another piece of furniture, the chair, which also got life and moving around the bedpost, moving inside the bedroom and rotating in the air, and just trying to fell on the both Mr. Hall and Mrs. Hall. So these were the curious things or very strange things happened in the study. What other extraordinary things happened at the inn? The extraordinary things means, my dear students, that suddenly the money was appeared. The money was handed over to the Mrs. Hall by the Mr. Griffin. And when Mrs. Hall found that there was nobody inside the room, she was trying to investigate inside the room, but they found that there was somebody taking breath near her ear. And then that you could write all the incidents that about the hat, about the chair. So this is all about the chapter question answer of this, and I hope you have learned the chapter, you have understood the chapter very nicely, and we will come back in a new video of this class. Thank you so much to be with me.